Hello there. Hello, 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 hello. Come on in, make yourself at home. Welcome to Say It, Larry J. I am your host, Larry J. Come in, make yourself at home, as they always say, the older generation. Come on in, sit down, make yourself at home. Well, I was actually pondering about today, or was it today? Or probably Monday or Tuesday or so. And I was just scrolling about and I was reading some articles. And one of the articles that stood out to me was about the education department. Well, we all know things are going on. And when I talk about the education department, I'm actually talking more so about the public school setting, um, higher education somewhat as well, but more emphasizing on the public school setting because when we actually look at how things are going now, we actually see, and I can speak somewhat on the fact of when it comes to the public school setting, a lot of the funding, somewhat of the funding, it has been said, has been cut, and funding has been going elsewhere. Well, Betsy, what her name? Betsy DeVoe. Well, as we know, she was appointed in that head of education, and she was actually trying to cut out some things when it came to the funding for public schools because it was also known that she didn't have an educational background, but she more stood for private schools. Now, if we put a pin on private schools, now some I've heard some teachers say about putting their students in private schools because how the public system is actually going. But on the topic of the article, so we have our elected president Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Kamala, Kamala, whatever. Kamala Harris. So they're looking in, going in to turn around some things when it comes to the funding. Biden stated in the article that I read, it was actually, let's see here. Oh, goodness. Yep. Biden's education department will move fast to reverse Betsy DeVoe's policies because she was trying to cut out in the unions because her stance was more for private schools. So Biden's stance is more for giving more funding to the public school sectors, cutting some student loan debts. That's what he stated in the policy. Now, therefore, someone else did put on, it was actually on my Facebook where they quoted the month and the day, the time and the place where he said that he was going to cancel student loan debts. So we will be looking forward to seeing how these things get implemented because many of us we want these student loan debts canceled because we have went to school and educated ourselves. But speaking on the Georgia Department, oops. Well, speaking of the Department of Education, when you talk about funding for schools where it used to be, for example, I've worked at companies where they're giving an allocated budget. That budget consists of one of the companies that I worked in particularly, it consisted of supplies that would include office pens, printers, ink cartridges. What else did they have? All types of things that consisted of supplies. Well, that was included in that budget. Well, most of the managers they was actually given a card, and that card they can actually either purchase it or also included in that budget. Let me backtrack. Would be planning events. So if we did catering, for example, when it's everyone's birthday, when it's everyone's anniversary, will a cake come rolling in? Sometimes you had two cakes, one for somebody's birthday, one for their anniversary for how long they've been working with the company. Well, that was all allocated in the budget that each manager had hold of. And with that budget, it was catering events such as if they want to do something in the department, hey, we're gonna have people pizza, we're gonna have Olive Garden, we might do Cheesecake Factory. There were a list of things that was actually throughout there, and it was allocated in that budget. But when it comes to the school system, the teachers have to actually mostly go buy their own supplies for the classroom, which there used to be a time where they was given a stipend to actually go buy supplies. What happened? Also, at that note, a lot of the supplies that teachers are given and do have is because they have to send a list home to the parents and ask the parents, these are things that are needed for the classroom and for your child well-being of education. They send the list home, get those things, but the teachers, they make a certain amount of money, which that's also included, that Biden talks about in the article, is trying to get teachers raises. Now there has been something said about teachers was supposed to, and I alluded to it on one of my lives. Teachers were supposed to get raises, but they don't know what happened to the money. It ain't funny, but they don't know what happened to the money. So they was wondering, like, I thought we were supposed to get raises this year. What happened? I mean, what happened? Somebody tell us what happened. Some teachers were supposed to get pandemic money, and this pandemic money was supposed to allegedly buy things pertaining and around the pandemic, such as maybe face masks, temperature gauges, and things in that sort. Some teachers didn't get that either, but the money got distributed allegedly, but not so allegedly. But the money got so distributed. So these are some things that our elect president Joe Biden is trying to come in, and I speak upon, the educational system now, because see, all of this trickles back down to when, if your child go to public school, it trickles to their learning ability. Well, the teachers already have a lot on their plate because they're trying to make sure your child pass these tests that they're given in certain grade levels. Because if not, they're being asked, what's wrong with you? It may not be nothing wrong with the teacher. It could be the child just don't want to learn. The child may not. So they're given all of these preliminaries when it comes. So this all affects how your child learns. See, back some years ago, especially when I was in school, the only test that I had to take was the graduation test. That was it. I didn't have all of these other tests. And then when you add on, when it came to the public school sector, the teachers got into it for teaching for the love and the passion of it. They was involved in the community as well because they enjoyed what they did. They love. Are you saying that some teachers don't enjoy what they do? Not? No, they don't. Some of them don't. I'm just being honest. Some of them don't, because what is wrong with y'all? Y'all are piling all of these things on these teachers. Okay, they got to keep up with tests. They got to do paperwork, operational paperwork. I call it operational paperwork because any type of paperwork that you're doing operationally to make sure everything is sound, to cover your tracks, to cover your tail, to make sure things are intact, so no one don't get caught with their panties down. I call it being operationally sound. So they're having to do all of this work. So more of the teachers that are in their 50s and 60s, they're looking so forward to retirement because all of this pressure is being put on them, because it's like the education system for public schools seem to turn into a business. And the question was posed, is that why a lot of people are being pushed to go back to the school system? Is that why you want the children to go back to the school system? Because see, if they're not, I know this from a business standpoint. Why do schools need money if there ain't no students in schools? They're all doing virtual learning. Like Tayshawn. Tayshawn, he pointing back there because his mama, his guardian walking back there nude. Along with the other people that are on virtual learning, it's a clip that's actually viraling around the internet. The other people that are on the virtual learning, one person up live, but you just don't see them, and the other person in the bed. So why should school? So now they're posing, okay, we need to get the students back to the, even though it's a pandemic going on, we need to get the students back in the schools because we need that money. It's all about that money, that dollar bill. Money, 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 money. Yeah, it's all about that money. So let's get the students back in the school because see, virtual learning it cuts costs. You don't have to use no lights. What do you need money for if the students aren't in school? You don't have no lights. You're not burning no you're not burning no power, no lights. You're not using no computers. You're not using nothing that relates in the school building because everything is used from the student's house and from the teacher's house. The only little bit of cost that you may have is for the virtual learning aspect. It cuts costs. But we need all of this money to keep pumping in. So how does and I sit here and I was pondering, how is the school system, especially the public system? Notice I'm not speaking more of higher education. How is the public school gonna look some years from now? Like 10 years from now? Hmm. Because there are already a lot of changes that are going on and it continues to go on. And sometimes I'll be wondering, like, what do these people be making these decisions at? What made them come up with giving these students tests, stressing them out along with the teachers? What made them come up with this stuff? We're gonna we're gonna roll out all of these tests and other grades to see for them passing. If they don't pass the class, they can't take the test. Or can they take the test? It's just a whole bunch of tests and it's stressing people out. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna see what our president elect Joe Biden have in place. I'm looking forward to the things he have in place. Because hopefully it'll turn some things around in the public school system so the children can come to school and learn peacefully if they want. Some of the kids don't want to learn. They just want to come in and be disruptive. They have certain school systems for that as well, for those that like to come into class and be disruptive. They have places for that. So we will see what our elect President Biden has to say. I'm excited. I hope you all are excited. By the way, how was some of your day? Happy Tuesday to you. We have next week will be Thanksgiving week. I hope some of you all are excited, and I know some of you all probably have went and bought your try going about now buying your Thanksgiving groceries. That way you don't be in with the crowd and everyone else when it comes to buying those Thanksgiving groceries and cooking those fabulous cakes. Don't eat too much because the new year is rolling around. We can't go in the new year looking like I think I'll keep that comment to myself, but let's try to eat in portions during Thanksgiving. Of course, I will be going live next week. Oh, excuse me. Oh, oh, excuse me. I will be going live next week, so I will keep you posted. Of course, it will be more than likely Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Friday. And yeah, it'll definitely be Thanksgiving as well. So you all have a great night. And I hope you have a great and awesome Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you share and click the like button as well.